What's up, everyone? Good afternoon, and thank you guys for tuning in to a breaking edition of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are presented by Tick Pick and Fansided. This is Kevin Klein speaking, riding solo because nobody was around to talk with the fans about the biggest signing of the day. Roki Sasaki on his Instagram just announced he is going to be joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. Not that this was really a surprise if you've been listening to this podcast. I've been talking about it since literally day one of the offseason that the Los Angeles Dodgers were going after Roki Sasaki, and that dream appears to be a reality today as Roki Sasaki breaks it on his Instagram. Flashbacks to when Shohei Ohtani did it, Blake Snell did it, and now today on January 17th, just a few days until the expiration date of January 23rd, where Roki Sasaki was going to have to make a decision. We get it. Finally, this felt like a long time coming, and Roki Sasaki chooses the Los Angeles Dodgers. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate everyone giving me a few minutes of your day today. We are very excited here over at the Incline Dodgers podcast. Again, Kevin Klein riding solo. This is completely impromptu because I think we were expecting Roki Sasaki to make his decision, but with every day passing, a little bit of skepticism began to kind of cloud some of our minds. We were like, when is this going to happen? I think some people thought it would have happened a couple days ago when he started to knock off teams like the Mets and the Yankees and the Chicago Cubs. We felt like a decision was coming, and then it was just dead radio silence for a couple days, and we were kind of like, well, what's going on? Where is this Roki Sasaki decision already? And finally, we get it at approximately, I'm going to pull up his Instagram again to give you guys the exact time. 19 minutes ago, so basically 3:05. Roki Sasaki announces he is joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. It came down to the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays for this Roki Sasaki decision. Early this morning, I was still sleeping. This was like 5 or 6 a.m. Pacific. We got word, unofficial but semi-official, that the San Diego Padres had been eliminated from Roki Sasaki consideration. Kind of a bit of a surprise because we thought this was going to come down to the Dodgers and the San Diego Padres, and ultimately it came down to the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. And it was kind of similar to a year ago when it was down to the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays for Shohei Ohtani, and we got some misinformation from Morosi and JP Hornstra that Shohei Ohtani was on his way to Toronto, and ultimately Shohei Ohtani announced on his Instagram he was joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. And not saying that's the same track we got today, but there was a little bit of momentum that seemed to be kind of swaying in the Blue Jays' favor. They had made a trade earlier this afternoon where they shipped off, I believe, an outfielder in the name of Miles Straw. They got about $2 million or so in additional international signing pool money. And so they were able to offer Roki Sasaki something in the ballpark range of $8.2 million, while the Dodgers were still capped around $5.1 million. And there were numerous hidden reports out there. They weren't necessarily public, but the Dodgers were actively trying to work the phones, trying to make some trades to get some additional international pool money. And maybe that comes out, maybe that will trickle out in a few minutes or in a couple hours. There's certainly some guys on the Dodgers roster right now that I don't feel like they're necessarily safe at the moment, and they could be traded imminently. Maybe we can talk some of those names in a little bit, but ultimately, the deal is done. We're waiting on all the official terms, what the signing and the contract are going to look like. But every insider that is relevant, whether it's Jeff Passan, Mark Feinstein, Ken Rosenthal, John Heyman, and of course, Bob Nightingale, and credit to Bob Nightingale, who was the biggest national reporter that expressed the most confidence that Roki Sasaki was ultimately going to come to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that is exactly what the result was. So Roki Sasaki is going to be a Los Angeles Dodger, and we'll talk about what this Dodgers rotation now officially looks like moving forward. I think as the offseason was moving along, more and more people started to realize how big of a deal this Roki Sasaki signing was actually going to be. You are adding a potential another ace, like probably a multiple all-star, even Cy Young caliber pitcher into your starting rotation. And for the Dodgers, you can never have enough starting pitching. And when you add a talent who is considered the best Japanese prospect pitcher of all time, now joining the Los Angeles Dodgers, you are looking at one of the most deadliest rotations on paper. You've got Roki Sasaki, you've got their ace or co-aces and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Blake Snell. You've got one of the best pitchers in himself when healthy, that is Shohei Ohtani. You've got another all-star pitcher when he's healthy and on the mound with Tyler Glasnow. And then you got a great supporting cast. Clayton Kershaw will eat some innings. I expect a big bounce back from Bobby Miller. Tony Gonsolin's a veteran at this point, and he's been an all-star. He can help round out this rotation. And then as the season moves on, some arms will come back. Maybe Emmett Sheehan has a bit of a role. Nick Frasso, who was at one point a top prospect for the Dodgers, could get some innings under his belt. And yeah, you're just looking at a pretty deep starting staff. So what's up, Craig? What's up, Daniel Barry Sports Highlights? Thank you, Low 17s, for tuning in. Beth Jensen, absolutely, this is great news. I've been saying it literally since day one of the offseason. The Dodgers were prioritizing Roki Sasaki, and never did I lose confidence. I always put the number at 85 to 90% chance that Roki Sasaki was going to choose the Los Angeles Dodgers. We just have all the best resources. If you want to join a dynasty, you've got to join the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when it came down to the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, I just don't see the appeal of why Roki Sasaki would even want to go to Toronto. They're in kind of a weird transitionatory period right now where they're not necessarily rebuilding because they haven't sold off pieces, but they've got some guys that are upcoming free agents. We don't know if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is coming back. He wants a massive deal. Bo Bichette sounds like he could be on the move at some point, and their starting rotation is pretty pedestrian as opposed to a Roki Sasaki who wants to maximize his time here in the States, sacrificed probably somewhere between $250 million to $300 million to come early and join Major League Baseball. And you get all the best resources. You join the best team, and you get Roki Sasaki here with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Aaron Ettick checking in, saying no surprise, knew he was ours. We've got Paul Vaughn here. World Series champs did just add another great arm, no doubt about it. What's up, Nicholas Dugan? Never a doubt. Tanner Scott next. Speaking of Tanner Scott, earlier today it broke that AJ Minter was signing with the New York Mets, and that's kind of a big deal because the New York Mets were one of the teams that we heard on this show, thanks to Mets insider Pat Ragazzo, who covers the team, told us that the Mets were in on Tanner Scott and were starting to get a little aggressive. Well, it looks like they pivoted today with the AJ Minter signing. They signed him basically to the same exact Blake Trinan equivalent of 2 years, $22 million. And I think his name is Mike Puma, who covers the Mets, said effectively with this move, the Mets are now out of the Tanner Scott race. So it kind of seems like unless a team sneaks in there, Tanner Scott's going to fall into the Dodgers' lap. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. Thank you, Steve A., member of our Discord, for tuning in as well. We got Rebecca Michelle David saying, "Welp." I don't know what there's to whelp about. It's only excitement here today because Roki Sasaki is coming to Los Angeles. This is a huge move for the Dodgers. You are essentially adding a guy that's many people are touting as the Paul Skeens equivalent, and you get him to the Dodgers on a very cheap contract. Should be $5.1 million in his first year, unless we get word that the Dodgers are freeing up more international pool money, but I haven't seen anything yet. The last I saw is just all the same. Every insider saying that the Toronto Blue Jays are the silver medal team once again, and Roki Sasaki is joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. So pretty epic day. I mean, what a day to celebrate. And moving forward, you have to feel pretty good about the Dodgers. On paper, they've somehow managed to one-up the team they had last season. And again, the expectations are going to be mammoth high. It's another World Series or bust year for the Dodgers, and the spotlight is going to be huge. Every team's going to be gunning for the Dodgers. They're going to be, whether it's the Colorado Rockies or the Kansas City Royals or the Minnesota Twins, in the regular season, like Mookie Betts has said in the past, it's going to be like their World Series, and every team's going to bring their best and want to beat the Dodgers. So, I mean, what a stacked team we are looking at. Now that Roki Sasaki is officially in the Dodgers rotation, moving forward, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of put together all the pieces. When you've got Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Sasaki, Glasnow, and Ohtani as your 5, if all of them are healthy, that 6th spot, because we're expecting a 6-man rotation, there will be some injuries along the way, but you plug in Kershaw later in the year. You've got Bobby Miller, hopefully can be an effective pitcher. I mentioned Nick Frasso could get some starts if he's healthy. Tony Gonsolin, who knows what they're going to do with Dustin May, but it feels like 1 or 2 of these guys could be finding themselves out the door later on in this offseason, because you can only have so many spots on your 26-man active roster, let alone the 40-man roster, which currently, I believe, has 1 spot open. I think they got 1 spot open, and they're not going to give it to Roki Sasaki yet because he's on a minor league deal, so they don't have to worry about adding him till once the regular season starts. But yeah, like Paul said, the one thing that can stop the Dodgers are injuries, and this team is not immune to injuries without a doubt. So want to get your guys' questions in there. If you got questions for the show, if you want to drop a comment as well, get your guys' comments in the chat, hit that like button while you're here, and go ahead and share the episode with your friends. This is kind of a power just breaking news episode of Roki Sasaki joining the Los Angeles Dodgers, and I'm going to flex in a second of how this offseason has kind of just fallen into huge favoritism of what I've been saying, and I'll give myself a pat on the back. But yeah, I'm just waiting for some more Roki Sasaki news to come out so that we have more details to share. In the meantime, I'm going to share on the X page that we are live. So give me 1 second. All right, so we're waiting for more Roki Sasaki news, but I will say, me and Jake talked about it a lot. We had a Dodgers wish list. This is at the top of Jake's Dodgers wish list. He wanted the Dodgers to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. They got Teoscar Hernandez. The top of my wish list, I wanted them to sign Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki. We got both of them. We got Blake Snell and we got Roki Sasaki. Obviously, I wanted them to sign Teoscar Hernandez as well. I was huge in that camp. I had been saying all the time consistently, Teo over Soto. They granted us that wish. We wanted to re-sign Blake Treinen. They re-signed Blake Treinen. I, with huge emphasis, wanted the Dodgers to trade Gavin Lux. They traded Gavin Lux. I said it was time to move on from Diego Cartaya. They moved Diego Cartaya. They didn't get Willy Adames, but that's okay. They got Yes-Sun Kim instead, who seems to be a sensational utility player. So excited to see what they do with Kim. And they just need to add that high leverage reliever now. So whether hopefully it's Tanner Scott, but I feel like all of baseball is just going to be pissed at the Los Angeles Dodgers if we also sign Tanner Scott. So yeah, we just got to wait and see what happens at this point. I mean, I'm not going to complain at all with what the Dodgers do the rest of the offseason. I mean, last offseason will always be the best offseason because they got Shohei Ohtani, but this is a strong number 2. Absolutely stoked. You get Roki Sasaki, who I'm going to say it, I'm going to call my shot. He'll be better than Yoshinobu Yamamoto by 2026. I think we will be talking about Roki Sasaki being the ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers heading into the 2026 season. And this is where the Dodgers got to get creative, because I think you got to give the nod to obviously Yamamoto to pitch in Japan, and you got to give the nod to Blake Snell to pitch in Japan. They're two winners at this point for different reasons. Yamamoto's already won a World Series and deserves that nod. He should be the opening day starter for the Dodgers in Tokyo. And then Blake Snell has won 2 Cy Young Awards, and I think it's a bit of show of respect if you give him that second start in Tokyo. But these Japanese fans, people flying from all over the country, they're paying big money to see the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Cubs battle it out in Tokyo. And what I would love to see the Dodgers do, you got to bring Roki Sasaki out of the bullpen in one of these 2 games. You got to showcase him. I think the Dodgers get enough downtime where it makes sense and they can have Roki Sasaki come out of the bullpen and showcase himself for these Japanese fans, give them a first glance of what he looks like in a professional game in a Dodgers uniform, and hopefully Shohei Ohtani takes someone on the Cubs deep, whether it's Imanaga, Justin Steele, or someone out of the bullpen, and you just showcase the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are essentially the Los Angeles Dodgers of Japan now. You've got 3 Japanese superstars put onto one squad. This is like taking the best of the World Baseball Classic team from Team Japan, and now you put them on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they won for Japan in 2023. Yamamoto and Ohtani won for the Dodgers in 2024, and now Roki Sasaki joins this to make it a trio, and they're trying to repeat and officially start a dynasty in 2025. If the Dodgers win the World Series in 2025, I think it's safe to say they are a dynasty of Major League Baseball, because you got 2020, and then you got the repeat years of 2024 and 2025. So absolutely electric. What a time it is to be a Dodgers fan right now. I mean, no one of the other 29 fan bases can compete with what the Dodgers are doing. I mean, that's the reality of the fact. The New York Yankees used to be the team to be. They got everybody. And now it's a West Coast swing, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are the new it factor. They are probably the biggest North American professional sports franchise out there now. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys used to be America's team. No one gives a shit about the Cowboys anymore. They don't win. The New York Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009. The Los Angeles Lakers used to be the team of LA. They were Showtime. They had all the stars, but ownership has kind of been a mess the last 10 plus years, and it feels like the Lakers have lost their luster. And so the Dodgers are kind of the new kings of LA. Our Discord chat is just going off. But anyways, yeah, I'll share the link to our Discord chat. If anyone wants to come in, this was just epic. It was an epic Discord chat for the last few days. Our chat going wild with every Roki Sasaki update. So you didn't miss a thing. It was a fun little dance. And honestly, never wavered, never felt like the Dodgers were going to lose momentum in this Roki Sasaki signing. And it's just happy. It's a happy time. It's a great time to know that the Los Angeles Dodgers are landing probably the best free agent pitcher out there. I've had hot takes. I said Roki Sasaki, if he was posted, would be the best free agent signing out there. I think Roki Sasaki is going to be more impactful in the short term than Juan Soto. I think Roki Sasaki is going to be a bigger deal than Blake Snell. I think Roki Sasaki is better than Corbin Burns. I think Roki Sasaki was the guy, and the Dodgers absolutely owned this offseason. No one's going to come even close. I mean, credit to the Mets for overpaying for Juan Soto. I mean, congratulations. You've got a $765 million future DH. And meanwhile, the Dodgers continue to add guys that are versatile. They've really boasted their rotation. I mean, who'd the Mets even really add to their rotation that we should be impressed with? Frankie Montas? Oh, cool. Well, we added Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki. So good luck, New York. We still got the best offense, 2 on paper, bringing back all the guys and a little bit more. So our offense is going to be on fire. You combine maybe the best offense in Major League Baseball with the best pitching staff in Major League Baseball, and you're looking at a team that should win 108 games or more easily. I don't want the Dodgers to be chasing that 116 or whatever record that the Mariners got. I think that eventually just becomes too much pressure on your team and the expectations get too high when you're in the playoffs. But I would love for the Dodgers to obviously win the division, and I want them, like this most recent season, to have a lot of momentum in September going into October and carry that into the postseason. So I think this broke the San Diego Padres. I think this signing of Roki Sasaki going to LA really broke the Padres. I think they're cooked. I think the next thing you're going to see from San Diego is a small rebuild. And I mean, do I feel bad for the Padres? No, obviously I do not feel bad for the San Diego Padres. Their fans are a bunch of jackasses. Do I feel bad for the Blue Jays fans? Yeah, maybe a little bit, because nobody seems to want to go to Canada. I know the taxes are very high there. The Blue Jays ownership tries to spend money and no one seems to be willing to take it. So I feel bad for Blue Jays fans kind of a little bit, because they continue to be second fiddle, especially to the Dodgers. So maybe the Blue Jays can find someone out there that is willing to come to Toronto. Someone needs to take that plane ride to Toronto. But yeah, the San Francisco Giants, they're screwed. No one really wants to go to SF either. They have to overpay for players. They're going to be a mediocre team. The Colorado Rockies have no idea what the hell they're doing. And Arizona Diamondbacks are a sneaky team. They definitely took a big step forward. They really bolstered their rotation by signing Corbin Burns. But again, the Los Angeles Dodgers starting rotation definitely outpaces and surpasses whatever Arizona is going to throw at us. So we'll have plenty more Roki Sasaki takes, especially now that he's a Dodger, and we'll get to see him in spring training. But I think early on, you're looking at Yamamoto's the 1, Snell's the 2. If we got to see what Ohtani looks like on paper, what he's paid, he should be the 3. But there are some huge question marks of what Shohei Ohtani is going to look like post second elbow surgery, and kind of what his velocity will be like, because the guy could throw 100 miles per hour prior to these injuries. So curious to see what Ohtani looks like. But if it's the Ohtani pre these injuries, he's easily the 3. Right now, Glass now, because he's the veteran, should be the 4. But I'm very confident in Roki Sasaki, and I think he's going to end the season either being the Dodgers 3 or the Dodgers 4. And I do think Roki Sasaki will be starting huge postseason games for the Dodgers. I think the monster will be Yamamoto, Snell, and Sasaki. And then that game 4 starter, worry about it later. You might have Ohtani come out of the bullpen. You might have Glass now come out of the bullpen, or maybe someone else that we're not even thinking about right now steps up and he emerges as the Dodgers 4. I mean, you can't really rule out Bobby Miller if he's on the roster. If Bobby Miller amounts to his potential, Bobby Miller could be the Dodgers number 4. But we're getting a little wild here with some of these predictions that I'm throwing out there. But I'm just saying, like, this Dodgers team is so talented. There's a lot to believe in, and the starting pitching is very deep. It's the deepest I think I've ever seen in all my years of being a Dodgers fan. And that's crazy to think about, because at one point in this franchise's livelihood, they were led by a Kershaw, Greinke, and then a Kershaw Buehler 1-2 punch. And now all of them are gone. I mean, Kershaw is coming back, but right now he's technically not a Los Angeles Dodger. We know he will be coming back with the Dodgers. His role in my book is still kind of questionable. What does Kershaw even have left in the tank? But I don't think we need to rely on Clayton Kershaw to start any more big games for the Los Angeles Dodgers in probably the rest of his career, unfortunately. He's more of kind of a novelty nostalgia act, and he's going to chase the 3,000 strikeouts. So we will see. So we've got some stuff about Roki Sasaki in terms of his pitch mix and kind of just how elite this guy is on paper. So this was posted 30 minutes ago from Thomas Nastico, TJ Stats. So just how filthy is Roki Sasaki? I think 100 is considered the average. Well, Roki Sasaki's splitter ranks as a 123. Roki Sasaki's four-seamer ranks as a 119. And Roki Sasaki's slider ranks as a 117. So right now he's a 3-pitch pitcher. And we've talked about those two top pitches, the splitter and the four-seamer, both being very devastating pitches, especially that splitter generating a 53% whiff rate in 2023's game against Mexico. I don't know why we're going off one World Baseball Classic start, but that's what I have in front of me. So he generated 53% of his 53% of the splitters he threw generated whiffs, and the slider generated 50% of the sliders. So at the end of the day here, all I can say is Roki Sasaki throws 3 very filthy pitches, and Andrew Friedman does it again. Thank you to, let me find him on X. Thank you to MLB Mad with an extra D, who DM'd me 4 hours ago saying that Andrew Friedman's wife followed Roki Sasaki on Instagram. So there were definitely some tips. Shout out to a lot of people too who had DM'd me, reached out to me, wanted to talk Roki Sasaki and share some insider knowledge in terms of what his market was looking like, what the Blue Jay, how serious the Blue Jays were in, how serious the Dodgers were in, the back and forth, the momentum swings. So I think it's best to keep their names anonymous. But if you DM'd me talking Roki Sasaki insider stuff, credit to all of you guys as well. You know who you are. So, I mean, what a glorious day it is. I don't know if anyone has questions, but let's see what other people are saying in here. We've got Zach Sloan. It's Jover. It absolutely is Jover. Beth Jensen, I almost feel sorry for the Giants. I do not. Bunch of bandwagon Fairweather fans. They can go screw themselves. Aaron Addict, we are the evil empire now. Love it. We've got BC showing up. 3-headed dragon, Shohei, Yoshi, and Roki. Love the use of the emojis as well. Paul Vaughn saying Ohtani and Sasaki will cost the Dodgers $7 million a year in payroll. With all the deferrals, that is absolutely true. And we've got Rebecca Michelle David just commenting LOL. So I don't know if anyone has questions for me. You can drop them below in the chat. Again, this is a reminder, hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the Incline Dodgers podcast, great opportunity for you to subscribe as well. But I mean, is it even a debate at this point? I think it's pretty obvious that Andrew Friedman is the best thing to ever happen to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Friedman just continues to deliver time after time, and he is just in a groove right now. He is feeling himself. He is getting all the big names that the Dodgers should be signing, and he doesn't make emotional pivots and throw out bad contracts like Anthony Rendon, or he doesn't overpay for a Max Fried, or he doesn't go all in for Steven Strasburg. It's all a patient waiting game for Freeman. He tactically didn't go all out in that offseason leading into 2023. He let some big names walk. A lot of Dodgers fans, including myself a little bit, were resentful in terms of the lack of spending. And there was clearly a big picture and a big game plan here. And it's paid off because they got Shohei Ohtani and they got Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They were able to sign and then re-sign Teoscar Hernandez. And now they've added Blake Snell, and are going to add Roki Sasaki. And Dave Roberts is going to get that extension. And I mean, credit to Dave Roberts. He has got an awesome roster to manage now. So this is just, it's speechless territory. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point other than the Los Angeles Dodgers are dominating Major League Baseball. We literally run the sport. And there was good reason for many of us to feel confident that we were going to get Roki Sasaki. I mean, why would we have any doubt that Roki Sasaki wasn't going to join the Los Angeles Dodgers? He jumped a couple years early. He wanted to be a part of something specifically. Obviously, it was going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers. And, I mean, he wasn't going to leave Japan early to join the San Diego Padres. I mean, I think that ownership mishap really shot themselves in the foot. Do you really think Roki Sasaki was going to leave Japan to go to Canada? I mean, I've never been to Tokyo, but in my head, I imagine that Tokyo is a nicer city than Toronto. Now, maybe that's a misnomer and I'm completely wrong and out of line there, but I think if you had to choose, if you're leaving Tokyo and you're going to choose between Los Angeles or Toronto, you better be going to Los Angeles and not Toronto if you're going to leave Japan. early in sacrificing one of the biggest paydays for a pitcher will ever receive. So I think the writing was on the walls. I do think the San Diego Padres were a legitimate threat. I don't know. I just don't know how serious the Blue Jays really were in this. And they definitely really tried. They did their best to give the Dodgers a run for their money. But I mean, ultimately, if you're sacrificing 250 million, 300 million, are you really going to bounce and choose Toronto over Los Angeles for a difference of $3 million? I just don't see it. And I feel like the Dodgers are going to compensate him very well from years 2 to 6 on. I mean, they can buy out those arbitration years. I'm pretty sure they can work out some type of extension within that time frame, and they can get Roki Sasaki the money that he's going to go on to deserve. And then he'll ultimately become a free agent. I guess that would be maybe 2031. And then we'll see where he's at there. And that's when he'll get his bag, I imagine. So we got Zach Sloan saying, can the Dodgers set the single season win record with this roster? Can they? Absolutely. Can they? I mean, in theory, absolutely. They have enough talent to set the new record. It's just going to come down to health. That will be a big part of it. You got to rest guys when appropriate. I think the Dodgers find themselves in a pretty luxurious position where they're going to be able to afford to give their stars days off and additional time off if needed to nurse injuries. And they've got to really find a new approach to maintaining their starters' health in 2025. I think that's something that Freeman, who said a couple times earlier during the midst of last season, they're going to really research and emphasis on trying to maintain health. So they got to get strategic here. You got to give Tyler Glasnow multiple weeks off. You don't even need to rush him into this season, to be honest. Blake Snell's been pretty durable, but again, you gotta make sure you protect that expensive arm that they just signed. Yoshinobu Yamamoto hardly pitched a lot of last year's regular season. He missed 3 or 4 months with the rotator cuff injury. You got to manage Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And so I expect kind of a balancing act with the Dodgers where it's going to be a rotation act of guys on the IL coming off. Next guy goes on the IL. And you could probably expect something similar with the bullpen because that's definitely something the Dodgers were pretty strategic and did a lot of this most recent season was bullpen injury management. They were constantly checking in with guys. We saw a lot of guys going on the IL, a lot of guys coming off the IL, and keeping that bullpen fresh is also going to be important for the Dodgers because the Dodgers do have a pretty stacked bullpen, and we should expect almost everybody to return at this point, and hopefully we get the addition of a Tanner Scott or one more high leverage arm. But yeah, Aaron Attic saying complete domination in 2025. Please, 2001 Lakers style. Love it. Jeff Passan just posted a tweet. So here we go. The Dodgers have traded Dylan Campbell to the Phillies in a trade that includes international pool space per source. So there's a little bit of breaking news right there here on the Incline Dodgers podcast. Dylan Campbell, who I've never heard of. Who is Dylan Campbell? Let's see. Well, the Dodgers drafted him, it appears, in 2023. He was in round 4. Looks like he was a round 4C, so maybe a compensation pick. And the Dodgers have traded Dylan Campbell to get some international pool space. I don't have the number yet of how much pool space we're talking, but there you go. We kind of talked about for days now that the Dodgers were going to trade somebody to get some additional pool space, and Dylan Campbell, unfortunately, is that casualty. Who is Dylan Campbell? I have no idea. Do I think the Dodgers are going to miss Dylan Campbell? Probably not. But Phillies fans are probably going to be salty now. They're like, why the hell are we helping the Dodgers? But sayonara, Dylan. You are now a part of the Phillies. Peace out. Never knew you. Enjoy your new team, and you are not going to be a part of the Dodgers dynasty, unfortunately. So there you go. A little bit of breaking news. We've got Dylan Campbell, who is the sacrificial lamb. He was sacrificed to the gods, like in the Mayan ruin days. He's gone. So peace out, Dylan. You have been traded. So sorry, Dylan. Okay. Well, love little updates like that. It's always exciting to know what the Dodgers have going on here. But so now Roki Sasaki will get paid a little bit more than $5.1, $5.2 million. And yes, Craig Osterberg is right. Campbell, his legacy will be to make some good soup, I guess. So fun stuff right there. Probably will do the stream for 10 minutes or so. I know there's very spontaneous. You never know when these breaking signings are going to go down, but definitely glad to know that Roki Sasaki has joined the Los Angeles Dodgers. So last call for questions, and then we'll get going here on the road. But yeah, drove out to Palm Springs last night. Was a little nervous that Roki Sasaki was going to break the news then. He did me a huge favor today, got to work my full day of work, wrapped up, and then literally a few minutes after I wrapped up, did me the nice common decency of announcing he was joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. So thank you, Roki. Already a big fan of you, very courteous, and you seem to work around my schedule. But yeah, absolutely stoked to see what the Dodgers do next this offseason. I'm expecting more moves to come. It's just a waiting game at this point. But yeah, we just landed, in my opinion, the best pitcher available. If I was to do a draft, Roki Sasaki would have been my first overall pick, and I would have said, Roki, you are my number one. I would have taken him over Blake Snell. I would have taken him over Corbin Burns. Whatever pitcher you want to throw out there, I would have taken Roki Sasaki over that pitcher because that's how much I believe in this guy. I think he is going to be legitimately one of the faces of Major League Baseball. I think Sasaki will be talking about as a Cy Young Award winner in the near future. And it may not be right away at the start of 2025. Kind of like Yamamoto, there may be an adjustment period. And since Sasaki is a couple years younger than Yamamoto, that adjustment period could take even a little bit longer. But I do think in the second half, this is all assuming he's healthy and not burned out, because this is going to be where the Dodgers got to get creative and manage his workload here. I think Sasaki is going to get into a groove. He's going to have this breakout stretch where he just pummels and strikes out all of Major League Baseball. And we're going to have some serious discussions of who is starting game 2 or who is starting game 3 for the Dodgers. And Roki Sasaki is going to be in that debate. So stoked for all these future conversations to come. Plenty more shows coming along this off season. So we'll continue to get you guys pumped and ramped up for the 2025 Los Angeles Dodgers season to come. Great question from Rebecca Michelle David. Do you think Dave Roberts will let them throw no-hitters or perfect games? It's all going to come down to the pitch count. I mean, if Roki Sasaki is at 100 pitches and he's in the 6th inning, then he'll be done by the 7th. There's no way that Roki Sasaki will be pitching way past his workload. So I do feel like Dave Roberts is going to be conservative, as he usually is with these Dodger starters. So I wouldn't get your hopes up that you're going to see any perfect games or no-hitters this season for the Dodgers. But nonetheless, we should just be happy that we've got a stacked rotation. So I'm pumped. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Trying to think what else there is to cover real quick, but I'm just waiting for some more breaking news to see if we've got anything else. It doesn't appear to be the case right now. But yeah, let's see. Nope, I don't see any other updates. I got some reading to do about kind of what went into this Roki Sasaki decision. I'm sure a press conference will be announced and going down in a few days for Roki Sasaki as well. I mean, this is a pretty big signing, despite the smaller contract that he's going to initially be handed. I think he has earned himself a presser and we'll get to speak to the media, and we'll get to learn a little bit more and insight into Roki Sasaki and the thought process here, and kind of what went into him picking the Los Angeles Dodgers, because we're speaking for Sasaki right now and kind of what we think won him over to join the Dodgers, but ultimately we want to hear from Sasaki himself and get a little more insight into what his perspective was and what won him over. We heard earlier in the morning that Yoshinobu Yamamoto was a big motivating factor and influence in Sasaki coming to the Dodgers. So they have a bit of a strong friendship, and it appears to be a stronger friendship than Roki Sasaki and Yu Darvish. So this is what I posted earlier in the morning. Not only did Yoshinobu Yamamoto end the San Diego Padres season, because obviously he dominated them in Game 5, Yoshinobu Yamamoto ended any hopes of the San Diego Padres signing Roki Sasaki as well. So Yamamoto just balling right now. He is in a groove, and excited to see year 2 of Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I mean, I think that pretty much covers it all. All I got to say is credit to me. I'm giving myself credit where it's due. On this podcast from day one, I had inside sources tell me that the Dodgers were prioritizing Roki Sasaki. They were going to get him at any cost possible. This was their top target of anybody on the board, and they were going to do everything they could to land Roki Sasaki. They had been scouting him for years. Andrew Friedman had been in Japan. They wanted him more than any other pitcher that you could name. This was their guy. It was always going to be Shohei Ohtani and Roki Sasaki. That was the dream board for the Dodgers. Now they got them both. The Dodgers were positioning themselves. They made some sacrifices. It is my full belief, and from what I can just kind of see, they chose Roki Sasaki over Walker Buehler. They could have easily, remained loyal, paid Walker Buehler more than whatever Boston gave them, which wasn't a whole lot if we're being honest. And Roki Sasaki was their priority. They looked at who's in their rotation, who's under contract, and they made a conscious choice. And they said, we are going with Roki Sasaki. We're going to roll the dice, and we're going to play the market. And there is a chance that he doesn't pick us. But we're going to play with those odds. We're going to let Walker Buehler pursue other opportunities, and we're going to put our faith in Roki Sasaki picking the Dodgers. And that is exactly what happened. So Friedman playing chess once again, while the rest of baseball is out there playing checkers, and the Dodgers get who they want, and these other poverty franchises just frolic around and they run around like they're chickens with their heads cut off. And it's kind of just a mockery of this league now, why there aren't more competent executives, more committed owners to get shit done. And the Dodgers gladly will capitalize on a lot of this negligence that is just going out there. So I'm going to gather my thoughts for now. I think we are in a good place. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, and appreciate you guys listening to the Incline Dodgers podcast. Let us know in the comments section, if you're watching on YouTube, your thoughts and reactions of Roki Sasaki joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. And if you're listening on the audio feed, I'm sorry that this wasn't more prepared because it was very last minute, and I decided let's just go live. So thank you guys for listening as well, and we'll have more content, more guests, and all that fun stuff for you guys. So thank you guys for giving me part of your Friday afternoon. Everyone have a great day. Roki Sasaki joins the Los Angeles Dodgers, 2024 World Series champs. Let us go for a repeat. Bye, everyone.